pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call to order the Marion County Commission meeting on Monday, February 23rd, 2026. A public forum, anybody like to speak?
My name is Brandy Smith. Do you need my address? Okay. I serve as a trustee for East Branch Township. I'm here today to speak against a ban on large wind and solar projects in the 4 townships of East Branch, West Branch, Liberty, and Minnow. Mr. Becker, it is my opinion that it is disingenuous and misleading for you to suggest that a blanket ban is sufficient enough to provide adequate protections for a densely populated area of Marion County. This offers no lasting protection and can be revoked at any time. It might sound decisive, but it is a temporary gesture, not real policy. I would also point out this proposal was cautioned by Mr. Jantz, your county councilor. Mr. Jantz has made it clear on several occasions. This lacks clear, he made it clear on several occasions that you must be consistent in actions across all jurisdictions. This decision lacks clear justification and could be seen as unjust, especially if the reasoning doesn't equally apply to all other areas of the county and could potentially put our county at risk of future litigation. I am, however, in favor of a legitimate, legal, and enforceable document recently passed through our Planning Commission, to which I am a member. Article 27 will provide the protections that are necessary and required, not just in these 4 townships, but the entire county of Marion. I would like to remind the Commission it has taken the better part of a year for this document to be proved both legal and enforceable by Mr. Jantz, then to be discussed and evaluated by the Planning Commission. Through its foundation in health, safety, and welfare, Article 27 protects our schools, cities, and both participating and non-participating landowners. It is comprehensive, balanced, and thoughtfully developed. I've heard several commissioners recently say that they believe the Planning Commission works hard and needs ample time to evaluate what goes before them. It was also stated that we need to trust their effort and their work. Although I was not officially part of this discussion prior to January 2026, I was present during those planning meetings and took extensive notes. I observed lengthy discussions, questions, points of concern. I heard possible oppositions, reasonable suggestions, as well as disagreements. In the end, there was a consensus, and it was passed with a vote of 8-1. Overall, what I observed firsthand was a well-written, judiciously documented, and thoughtfully discussed document that effectively provides protections for all of Marion County. So, Mr. Becker, my question is simple. Why would you offer up a bogus ban of protection when Article 27 protects the entire county, impartially, transparently, and lawfully? Marion County deserves sound governance, not symbolic decisions. Let's uphold consistency, legality, and fairness by voting today in favor of Article 27. Thank you.
Anybody else?
My name's Handel M. Eitzen. I farm in most of the townships that we're talking about. I'm just hoping that the commission will adhere to what the planning and zoning work, like she said, most of a year to come up with, and voted by an 8-1 of a margin to approve. Hopefully the commission will take that into consideration when they vote. Really don't know really what all else to say. Most of you have heard me speak many times about it. I think if you would talk to probably 3/4 of the landowners that do have wind turbines on the second of a project, most of them aren't just real happy with what they did, and that's why they're not fighting very hard for the second one. I do imagine if there's anybody that thinks not having a wind farm is a financial burden on them, I suppose they can come to me and I will donate money to them. That's pretty much all I got.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah.
There's not much room.
No, there isn't, is it? Can you put my pictures that I submitted? Tom Britton, Earl Florence. When I started fighting against the wind farm, Tanya Richards was the zoning director. She came from out of county with qualifications and credentials. I had a cell phone tower out by my house and had a light that did not shut off from daytime to nighttime mode. It shined into the house and was inescapable. I complained and she told me that she had contacted the company, gave them 60 days to fix the problem, or she would start the process to pull their cut. The company must adhere to the conditions of the permit or face revocation, hence conditional use permit. They fixed it. This is how you enforce regulations. She also told me that she cringed when Rex came in because of the dirty money involved in his project. It's still surprising that the county bought into his money laundering scheme. She resigned for personal reasons and the county hired her secretary for director, whose qualifications were being a resident of Marion County. Together with trade wind attorneys and county consultant David Yearout, they loosened their wind regulations to allow trade wind to build Diamond Vista. They approved the cup in one night. The poor people up north did not stand a chance. She then went to work for the wind company. That doesn't sound very good, does it? Then they hired her secretary for director who had her same qualifications. Now, after illegally invalidating our protest petition and expired cups, we have this. And the water in the back, there's another picture after this, and the water in the back, that's the second picture, if you would there, look at that. In June of 2024, I asked why there were no culverts and access roads by my house. In a letter from the zoning director, I was told some areas were not conducive for culvert installation. Are you kidding me? This is an asinine response. It's the same thing with the noise, lights, and cell phone reception. All we do is get is a runaround. So why doesn't the county enforce the regulations and hold the wind company accountable? I have a good idea why, but that would be a subject for executive session. So I guess to go in executive session, you get a hold of a commissioner and ask him if he'll take your issue to executive session. That's how we do that. It doesn't have to be mine, does it?
Mine what?
My commissioner.
Oh, no.
Well, that's a good deal, because
Thank you, Tom.
the buffoon.
My name is Jim Truax. I live 9.5 miles south of Hillsborough. We're for Article 27. I'd like to thank you for all your hard work on all kind of things. I live on a third generation farm, and Indigo Road, where we live and all up and down, it's a sought after road. People are building houses on the road or proximity to it. With the wind turbine company, we're surprised why they're leasing land right along that road, but we have a absent landowner that's leased on our land facing to the south of us and to the east of us, joining us. So it's they're both absent landowners. So for us, setbacks are critical for us and our neighbors and for the future of Indigo, I think. Thank you for considering that. And thank you for keeping Indigo Road a good road. We got a lot of big semis going by every day. And we're really happy with the way you keep it up and mowed and everything. So thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Linda Peters, Liberty Township trustee. Today, I come before this commission not only as a trustee, but also as a member of a fifth generational family that has been in this county for over 140 years. I'm going to ask this commission the same thing I asked the zoning board the other night. What are we doing here when we are questioning whether to pass Article 27? This article that the Planning and Zoning Board has taken great effort in compiling will make sure that all of the residents of Marion County will be protected. If you attended the zoning board, you would have seen that Marion County residents do not want any more wind farms. Most don't want what we have right now, but was allowed to be put in. Having towers no more than 500 feet, restrictions around schools, churches, airports, cities, residents, highways. How can that not make sense to everyone who's sitting in this room? It is not fair for you to keep bringing up that people should have the right to do what they want with their land, as that's not really a true statement. Article 27 does not deny commercial wind farm companies to look at Marion County, but our county is not going to lie down like we did before, but instead we're going to have rules that they need to follow when they want to apply here. This article, if passed, will keep our county from being sued, as it will be applied to the entire county. No one wants towers more than 500 feet. No one wants to worry about driving down a road with their family and have ice thrown off a blade or leaking oil thrown on their vehicle. No one wants their land to have pieces of broken wind contaminate their land so it's not usable. All of these things are happening. Will property taxes be lowered at that point? We in Marion County have always been concerned about economic development. In my opinion, development and growth is only going to happen when we finally put a stop desecrating the county and start focusing on how to keep what we have aligned to our vision of Marion County. Bottom line, show that we know what we are doing. Pass Article 27 and let's just move on. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak?
Yes. I'm online. I'm Quentin Gour. I want to encourage you to pass the planning and zoning regulations for the wind farms. What you have before you is a compromise worked out by the Planning and Zoning Committee. They worked hard on it. They worked many months on it, and we need to protect our county and our residents and pass this regulation. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Anybody else? Anybody else online?
Hi, I'm Garth Mock. I live at 3 Back Bay Court at the lake. I don't know if this is good or bad news, but I'm not here to talk about wind energy. I'm here to talk about the short-term rental thing that you're looking at today. You are looking at basically trying to reduce the number of people that can stay at a short-term rental from 8 to 6. I respectfully ask you to not do that, just because that would limit the number of people that could come. I actually do have a short-term rental that I have registered there at the lake. And there have been a few reasons given for that. One is that the sewer system is kind of at its breaking point. When I started reading that in the paper, I was really surprised about that because I've owned my house for 5 years and I'd never heard anything about that before. The sewer system out there is actually, as far as sewer system goes, kind of a baby. Most sewer systems are, 100, 120 years old. This one was put in the 80s, so it's pretty new. And I didn't know anything about it, but I was able to get a hold of the civil engineer that knows a lot about it. That's Mr. Neufeld, Darren Neufeld. He is an expert on it. And he was very willing to talk about it. I encourage anybody to talk to him about it. He did not have the same information about that or the same opinions about that sewer system that has been presented at different meetings and that kind of thing. He explained that, that sewer system starts kind of on the southeast part of the lake, and basically there's a trunk that runs all the way around counterclockwise. He said the first part, all those houses go through a 2-inch line. He said that's reaching its max. He said it doesn't mean that it's going to explode or leak into the lake. He just said it's not working very efficiently because all those pumps, when they pump, if the line's too small, they just have to pump longer to drain those pits, which means that the pumps just, he said, don't quote me, but I think he said most of the time they expect the pump to last about 8 years. They're only lasting about 5 just because they're working less efficiently. But after you get through that section, then the line gets expands to 3 as more houses tie in, 3-inch, then 4-inch, then 6-inch. On the other side, he said the other side of the lake and most of the lake after that 2-inch section is fine. It's not overtaxed. It's not at its capacity. There's no issue there. So if that's a reason to have only 6 instead of 8, it was brought up at the zoning commission meeting that people, that's not going to help, because if people, like mine last year, I had about 30 to 35 nights that people stayed there, which sounds like, I've talked to 2 others, that's about right, between 30 and 40 people per night. Nights per year. If we have to sell ours, and it's not why I bought mine, but the others are saying, well, if we have to sell ours, we're going to sell them to somebody who's probably going to likely live there year round. And instead of 30 nights, the sewer will be used 365 nights a year. So it's actually probably not going to cause less sewage if you limit the Airbnbs. It'll cause more going into there. And I just would encourage you to think about the economic boost that these have. It's a great thing for people to have. People come into town, they spend money at restaurants, at Carlson's, at the liquor store, at a lot of places. And so, what we want is people to come into the county and they bring a lot of money. When they leave at the end of the weekend, we want them to leave with great memories of Harvey County and less money in their pocket. And I think that that's what happens. If it's a parking issue, I can understand that. And I think 8 is a reasonable number if that is. I personally have tons of parking. I've got at least 6 or 7 spots on my cement driveway. So, don't punish me because there's other people that only have 2 spaces. So thank you for your consideration and your work that you do for us.
Anything else? Any public comments?
So I'm just curious, the public comment that was on the table, is that to be read into record, or is that?
Yeah, I don't read it.
Would that be what you would recommend? If there's a, okay.
I would, if someone's offered it up in advance.
Okay. No. I'm elected, I guess. Okay, so this is from Mike Welk. I think I pronounced it right. It's Woelk. And it says, Dear County Commissioners, over the past year, as I have observed your sessions and become more involved with local government, it has become increasingly apparent that some members of this board struggle to maintain impartiality when addressing county matters. On several occasions, I have also noticed moments where civility is not consistently extended to county employees, particularly when there are differing viewpoints. Is this not the purpose of a Board of Commissioners to bring together different perspectives and represent the full range of views held by the constituents you serve? It is discouraging to witness behaviors that can foster distrust, tension, or the perception of singling out county officials. My intent is not to criticize unfairly, but to encourage reflection and improvement for the good of the county. I respectfully ask the board to consider the following. Maintain civil and constructive dialogue. Differing opinions is healthy and necessary in public service. However, discussions should always remain civil, respectful, and focused on meaningful problem solving. Disagreement should never diminish professionalism. Present a united and professional front. Everyone working for Marion County shares the same overarching goal to see the county succeed. Collaboration and mutual respect are essential. When concerns arise involving a department or an official, they should be addressed professionally, whether through private conversation, structured meetings, or when appropriate, executive sessions. Employee-manager conflicts must be handled privately and respectfully. Additionally, an employee's personal life and actions outside of work should not be scrutinized or used against them without reasonable justification, as private matters are separate from their professional responsibilities. Uphold professionalism and appropriate conduct. While professionalism is usually maintained, there have been moments where personal frustrations appear to influence tone or language. As elected officials, you represent Marion County. Your conduct sets the standard for how the county is perceived. Decorum should guide all decisions and interactions. If maintaining professionalism consistently becomes a challenge, it may be worth reconsidering the responsibilities and expectations of holding public office. Serve with integrity and avoid the appearance of overreach. Through observing and participating in local government, I have developed a deeper appreciation for the responsibilities that public service entails. I encourage all elected officials to remain mindful of the importance of integrity, transparency, and the careful use of authority. Public service is inherently a commitment to acting selflessly for the benefit of the community and the constituents you represent. I will leave you with this. Please remember that you serve the residents of Marion County. You were elected to represent our voices, and with that comes the expectation of professionalism. Holding public office does not provide license to be dismissive, disrespectful, or demeaning toward others.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Close that public comment session then. Proceed with business.
Do you want to go over the agenda?
Okay. Any additions or corrections to the agenda? Now I make a motion to approve the agenda as is.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Have some change orders. And I have the minutes of February 17.
Is there any corrections or additions?
Motion to approve. I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Sorry.
And that's all I have.
Administrator,
Okay, I had my report in your packet. I did want to note that we have sold 3 vehicles, and that information was in your packet. We sold the 2008 Chevy Silverado for $4,800, the 2010 Jeep Liberty for $3,300, and the 2016 Ford F-350 for $15,000. I put some severe weather awareness information in your packet, so that's fun to look at. Commissioner Crowfoot had submitted an article, which I placed in the packet. And I do have one, do you have any questions about anything on my report? I do have one additional item, the bridge at Goldenrod and 290th that was where the approach was washed out, and we've been working with the on the emergency watershed plan for reinforcing that stream bank. And so we will have 2 projects there. One is the stream bank stabilization, and the other is the actual bridge repair. So I know that time is of the essence on this. We have one quote right now for repairing the bridge itself. And because of the timing of this and the urgency of it, we can move ahead with one, or if the commission wants to take a couple weeks or like 2 or 3 more weeks to put that out to bid, we can bid that out. I won't share the quote until I know your preference. So this would be for the bridge repair part, which needs to happen before the stream bank stabilization.
We already get a quote on it then.
Well, the engineer was working,
Oh, okay.
the engineering firm that we hired was working with a contractor to help establish kind of what that cost would look like. So I do have one quote.
We at least have an executive session and know what that dollar amount is before we just blindly say yea or nay.
Yeah, I think so. Keep it fairly limited. I don't want to get into a situation where someone can accuse us of, oh, well, you had everything from us already, and then use that to make your determination with someone else.
I think it'd be prudent that we at least know.
General numbers.
If it's $1.2 million, and we just look like idiots if we go, yeah, let's go ahead and do it.
I wouldn't want to see it go on too long. With that school out there, they have been so inconvenienced. It's very frustrated, put it that way.
What would you go into executive session on that? Would it be?
Contract negotiations is what I would have in mind because there's a legitimate bid.
So we maybe couldn't do that during your time?
Yeah.
Okay. That was the only other thing I had, and I would have gotten that to you, but I just got it before the meeting, so.
Just a question about these pictures in the packet. The first picture, I mean, that's an access road, there's no culvert. I know this road doesn't have very good road ditches on either side of it.
There are no ditches, basically.
I mean, if a private landowner came in and put an approach in that diverted that much water across the county road, what would we do?
Injunctive relief and then seek to repair.
And if we don't address this with Expedition Wind or with Orsted, I mean, that first picture is clearly, and I don't know that a culvert there will make that much difference. But the fact is, I actually believe this was after an inch and a half of rain back in February. That access road is blocking water quite a ways back to the north that then comes east. It acts as a dam. That access road runs north and south. It acts as a dam. A lot of that water would naturally flow on across that field and would not come back to the south to hit the road. I mean, this picture doesn't show it, but the first picture. That access road is, you're looking
saying that
you're looking east. I'm saying that whole
access road is acting like a dam,
It's acting
catching
like
that
a
water
dam.
and bringing it to the road.
and bring it to the road. Which further exacerbates the issue of not having quality ditches on that side of the road, so.
There is no ditches.
Well,
So this, I don't disagree. I know Road and Bridge has been out there several times. There are no ditches out there. There are no residences out there. There's no mail route. There's no bus route. It was a dirt road before they put the turbines in. And so it's a matter of how much you'd want to try to do, because this has not ever been a good, the drainage here is not, it's not an easy fix or
And how long does it take for the water to go down? A couple of hours or a couple of days?
If it's an inch and a half, it's destroying the road. I mean, I know it's a dirt road. It was a dirt road, but now it's a gravel road, so we should try to preserve the gravel.
I mean, there's actually quite a few people use that road. There's houses.
maybe because it's gravel now,
Well, yeah, I
and
mean,
it wasn't before.
but, so we turn it back to dirt.
I wanna do that.
So the wind farm needed to get to the turbines.
You'd
So
think
it's not really, like nobody's ignoring it. It's just there's not.
A good fix.
Somebody reach out to Orsted and see if they could provide a solution.
We can certainly,
Make the interway like a low water crossing.
the burden is on us initially to determine that there is something different now from what it was like when it was just a dirt road, and whether it flooded the same way or that's substantially worse now. I don't know what we have in the way of records. That's the first thing I would be looking at. Because if you come to them and say, hey, you caused this, they're like, well, prove it. That it didn't already do that before we came in. And I'm just telling you, that's what our burden would be.
It's not right, so it needs to get fixed one way or another.
Anything else?
So what does the board want to do?
I'd say first contact them and make them let us know, I guess.
The road and bridge has any solutions?
Well, I mean, they've been out there multiple times. They don't really have a solution. I mean, it would take a rebuild of that area of the drainage and the ditches and all of that. Cause if you put a culvert in, there's nowhere for the water to go. It's flat.
There's probably not enough room there to clean the ditch out between the fence and the road.
Further on down there, is that a creek?
No,
First picture, it shows like a water flooding the road down there.
no, that's just the road.
Okay.
There's no creek there.
So it is flat.
The solution would be to put a culvert 30 yards north of the road and capture all that sheet water that's coming off and I'd have to go out there again when it rains and look at it, but their access road acts as a dam, and it goes in a half a mile, so all that, there's a quarter section of ground almost that is being funneled to the road where it used to go straight to the east and it wasn't concentrated like it is now.
Is part all grass to the north there?
It's all grass, that whole quarter
So if
section.
we could get the water across the access road further up, might be our best option to
That would
do some good
It would definitely help
for the least dollar spent, maybe.
yeah.
I haven't been out to see this one, but there's that access road, there's just not the crossing, but that goes in to one of the turbines, I assume. And they build that up as well. Is that acting as a,
That's what's acting as a dam.
okay,
Gates are,
It's diverting the water back to the south to the county road.
Okay.
And if they go in 30 yards and put a low water crossing or put a culvert in so that water coming from the north
Stays out in the field.
would go south across the field. It may not eliminate it, but it would definitely, you'd still have some water coming down the ditch. But a lot of that water, I think, would,
For dollars spent, that might be as good a preventative as we can make it, probably.
yeah.
I guess just going back to the Dima Vista project, there was many days or weeks with multiple motor graders bladed some of them dirt miles up before they were rocked. That did not happen on this project, which is as sad as that is. Whether county had time to improve some of them, I'm not sure of that fact, other than very little of that miles were improved before they were rocked. If there was any drainage issue, only compounded it probably. That's just what I think of what happened in the past. There's the difference between the two projects. It's better up north, other than it had that massive flood while they were building it.
Force majeure.
okay, we can move on. Nikki? So out there?
Everybody's here to see you, just so you know.
Did not have an audience today. Okay. I don't have a whole lot. The values were sent to Post Velocity February 12th. They'll be mailed the 27th of February since the 1st falls on a Sunday. They do have to be mailed on or before March 1st unless there's an extension. Taxpayers will have 30 days to appeal. The last day to schedule an appeal would be March 30th. Personal property valuations are almost completed as well. Besides oil and gas, renditions on those aren't due until April 1st, and we don't get a lot of those until like that day. So, around 1,000 accounts were deleted with the House Bill 2231 exemptions, which exempted several of the subclass 6 items. We were able to use the extra time that we had from not having, since all that stuff dropped off. Callie did check VIN numbers and movers on heavy trucks to make sure that they were classified correctly and check ownership changes or drops or rises in weights that maybe didn't get on the daily report or weren't relayed to us from the taxpayer. Eagle View has flown most of the county for our contracted 2026 flight. Last week they were about 92% complete. I don't have an email this week, so I don't know if they've finished that up or not. Reinspection, the guys have started reinspection. They're currently in the city of Gossel. The 2026 reinspection areas are Doyle, Gale, Peabody, Risley, and Logan townships, and Gossel, Burns, and Tampa cities. That comes out to almost 1,970 parcels to be physically re-inspected, just in the re-inspection areas. The first half of 2025 payment under protests are completed. We had 49 in 2024 and we had 77 in 2025. 30 of those were to landlords with several rental properties. If it wasn't for those two people, we probably would have been about the same as normal. That's all I got. Unless you guys have a question.
I got one.
Okay.
So I've been hit up by a few residents, so in the last few years we went revenue neutral. How does it come to be that, I mean, I get it, maybe a house burns down here or there or something and the county takes in no more money, but some properties have an extra $2-3 on their county line, some properties have less $2 or $3. Who dictates that, and how does that equation come to be?
It's not really a question for me. It would be more them, but I can answer it because the county is not the only part of the mill levy. Are you saying on the county line specifically?
County line specifically.
It's got to be a rounding thing then.
Well, and then also there is some rounding, so $2 or $3 could be potentially rounding, but you have valuation changes. Our levy rate went down because overall we're taking in the same amount, but
Their value would.
the valuation dictates on each property what happens based on that levy rate. So if that makes sense, if their value goes up, even though our levy rate goes down, there might be there would be a difference.
The value rate goes up and that's dictated by?
The value is dictated by the appraisers. The levy rate is dictated by the county clerk through the when she enters in the budgets and the budgets for each entity dictate that.
So how does like I said, I understand the county has to take in the same amount of money because it's revenue neutral for a reason. Is the state involved at all as far as the evaluations pushing it up?
It's all market driven, so it's all the sales within the county that are valid, open market transactions. And we use 4 years of sales, and yeah, that is state mandated.
Okay. Just I know these answers, but I need to get put out in the public.
Yeah, it's kind of like a teeter-totter if you think about it. So you have the value and the levy, and then the tax dollars are based on that. So the value times the levy rate and the tax dollars. So if your value goes down, then it could go up in another area. Of course, that's not the county line, but it could go up in a different jurisdiction.
I mean, I'm spread out between a bunch of different things, so I see some stuff go up, some stuff go down in my own personal. But some people, all they have is their house.
Yes.
So they don't see it that way. So it needs, we have a better explanation to people.
We'll have less of an increase this year than we've had in the past 4 years.
Well, the evaluations went up, but we pulled revenue neutral, so I mean, if we would have just left it alone, it'd have been awful.
Could have been, yes. I think last year might have been one of the higher years of evaluation increases. It'll work the same way going up as it does go down. I think 2021 is when the values started to really, or sales really started to increase for a lot higher than what we had them appraised for. But the 4 years of sales, so it took 4 years to get that old sales out of there that were lower. Now we're here with all in 2026 with all 4 years of high sale prices. So that's kind of why you see it level out a little bit, and not such a high increase.
08 housing crisis, I think, lowered a lot of valuation.
Do what?
The 08 housing issue lowered a lot of valuations of property.
The 08 housing issue? I mean, that would. Those were that's long gone. Those were all foreclosures, which foreclosures can't be used in market data anyways on about an appraisal.
That's all I have.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ready for somebody asks a question. Shelby?
Hello. I don't have a lot to talk about today, just a couple things. I attended a training and a workshop with Marcy from Emergency Management for the COOP plan. I know the county as a whole is kind of working on getting that together, so every department's working on doing their own, and then Marcy does like the big one across the board. So we did training and a workshop, so I've just been working on getting all that updated. Lloyd is working on getting me a laptop to use for when I travel. So he's getting me some bids. I don't have anything yet, but hopefully I will have a laptop before I have to go to our annual seminar in June. And then the last thing I want to talk about that could affect my office is a House bill that was introduced. It's House Bill 2696, and it deals with kind of modernizing the notarization process in the state of Kansas. There is a Register of Deeds from Leavenworth County who created the bill and is pushing for it. The Register of Deeds Association as a whole, so 104 out of the 105 counties is opposed to the bill. And so is the Kansas Land Title Association, which encompasses all the title companies in the state. They are also opposed to the bill. So they're proposing a biometric anti-fraud system, which is like an AI camera that does facial recognition. And they want the notaries to be in like a database, and they have to use this AI software in order to confirm their identity in order to notarize documents. It would also do a image of the person signing the document as well, from what I understand. So the association is against it for many reasons. They haven't really said like the cost of what it's going to be, but it's going to be like astronomical to get these devices. When I was listening to the YouTube video of the committee talking about it, the Secretary of State's office said that there's, I think he said 50,000 notaries in the state right now. And so if they did something like this, it would really cut that number by a lot, because people wouldn't be able to afford to be a notary anymore. Whereas now a lot of people offer that service for free. So that would, I think, affect the constituents quite a bit if they didn't have access to a notary, or if it cost them to go to one versus now they can do one for free. So the cost was something that we're concerned with, along with like the security of the system. It really hasn't been tested as far as like the security of people's information being on these devices. So there's just a lot of unknown on it that I feel like they're trying to push through without people questioning it, even though it's come up several times. I think this bill has been redone a couple times. The Register of Deeds Association did a poll last November regarding fraud cases. And their findings were that they did all of the 105 counties in Kansas, 104 counties responded. The one county that did not is the one driving this bill. So there were 19 suspected cases of fraud last year, so 2025. 32 suspected cases in the last 5 years, which they broke it down to that is only 0.0016% of all recorded documents in the state. So fraud is not as prevalent as they make it seem like it is. I mean, it's out there, but it's not, I don't think it warrants this kind of drastic change, in my opinion, and that's the opinion of the association as well. So the numbers don't support a bill of this magnitude. Yeah, that's everything I had on the House bill, and that's all I have.
What was that House bill number again?
2696. Yep, and
Do we have any reason to address our legislator through the county for any of this that we don't approve or disapprove?
It wouldn't hurt.
Draft on that.
I've listened to the committee report. No, I shouldn't say that. I think it's ill-advised because of all the things that Shelby's been saying too. What they would require, I've got 4 notaries in my office. We won't have any at that point. There's just no way, not to mention the privacy issues and we want to promote some economic development in the state to some degree, and that involves transfer of land. This makes it incredibly difficult to do transfers and confirmation of who's who. I get it in terms of, you'll see the commercials all the time about, well, somebody may own your house. I guess. But we haven't had enough experience with that at this point to warrant this kind of a drastic improvement to it, if we want to call it an improvement.
I will say they did talk about how it would affect like out-of-state notaries as well, and the remote notary process, which is all done remotely online and through like video contact between the notary and the signer. And all of this would contradict what's in place for all of that. So if something's not notarized in the state of Kansas, I wouldn't be able to file it in my office, essentially. So anyone that gets something signed in Colorado or Missouri, I can't accept it. So it really is gonna just, like you said, put a halt on real estate transactions.
And I don't know that we mentioned that yet, but at least where it's at right now, all property owners, if you want to transact in the context of transferring title, you have to have the assigned number as well. It's not just the notaries. You have to have be online and have gotten this appropriate number so that you even qualify to be able to transfer your own property. And there's going to be a lot of people who have issues with that.
Sounds like a nightmare. See the notary probably at least once a week, if not 10 times a week.
Me too.
So.
Yeah.
Any more questions or thoughts?
Is it in it where they could be more restrictive in their own county? Why do they have to push it through for the whole state?
It's a good question. I mean, the only ability for them to do that, it makes it really kind of immaterial because all the other counties, somebody just go to the next county and attempt to do something in terms of the notarization, et cetera.
Then the weight's off you?
Yeah,
You've
that's true.
effectively done what you set out to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your first year.
Thanks.
Good job.
Thank you.
Sharon? Article 19.
Yes.
We'll Short-term rentals?
So your board last week asked to get some clarification on some issues regarding that annual registration for short-term rentals and whether the proposed text amendments would,
Grandfathering.
whether they would affect the grandfathered CUPs in existence or not. And one of the responses was that you requested that information from Russ and from Brad. And Russ's opinion on the matter is that short-term rentals already approved under the previous version of the regulations would be allowed to continue under the then approved set of conditions, regardless of the annual registration renewal requirement. Further, the requirements A and P do not apply to grandfathered short-term rentals upon registration renewal. That was his opinion, and I believe Brad has an opinion on the matter as well.
Very similar in a number of ways. However, there's always an if. If it involves certain types of regulatory areas, building code, safety requirements, certain types of issues regarding, I wouldn't with these because they're residential, but sprinkler system requirements, for example, in commercial properties, have been through that litigation before. You do have the ability to take those conditional use permits and provide for some additional requirements. The general run-of-the-mill things that the CUP covers, yes, they're grandfathered. And they're subject to, if the CUP has a sunset date in it, then that goes away and you apply the new regulations to anything and everything, even if they're renewing. It also applies if someone lapses. I don't know that we have a definition because I made a notation about that, and doesn't continue the CUP for a certain specified period of time, which I don't know, Sharon, that we've defined, at least not that I found. But if it's like a 6-month period of time where they don't use it in that way, so we could define a lapse, then everything applies to them going forward when they come back in to renew it or to get a new one. But as it stands, standard kinds of requirements that are currently in place that they were granted under the CUP would be grandfathered.
So even on the renewal, when they renew annually, it's still grandfathered?
Yeah. As long as they do it within that frequency and there's no lapse in the use.
So if somebody has permission to have 8 people, they can keep that. They don't have to knock it down to 6.
That is the understanding or the general consensus of both Brad and Russ. I believe that the pivotal point for the annual registration, like Brad touched on, is for health, safety, welfare items like building code. If the county were to enforce building code, then we may have to incorporate some of those building code requirements into the annual registration. And that would be reasonable.
Five units that we have now can have 8 people if they're registered for that.
That's what the opinion is, yes.
You have some other ways to work around it. One of the things that did come up were the parking issues. If someone maintains or creates a nuisance, their neighbors call and say, hey, they're blocking the road, they're doing this, they're doing that. We have a different methodology for dealing with that. So for whatever that value that has to you, there is the ability for us to challenge someone.
You had 2 families and 2 cars, you could have 8 kids and 4 adults.
Yeah.
4 and 4. 4 adults and 4 kids.
I brought the question up because in the last application that was brought before us, there's a statement in there that if conditions change, you have to give them time to comply, and I wanted to clarify that before. That's the only reason I brought it up.
Yeah, that was a good question.
Guess it didn't get included back in the packet as far as board recommendation.
So you mean as far as the planning
Planning zone.
commission's recommendation?
Yeah.
The planning commission recommendation was to adopt the text as presented to you in that memo.
Is that unanimous?
Yes, no, that was. I believe there were 2 opposed.
2. I remember now.
Primarily deals with the sections A and P, which you all have seen in that memo. I had one additional comment to it in terms of B. The unit shall be located within the principal residential dwelling unit on the property and may not be located within an accessory building unless the principal residential dwelling unit is owner occupied. I would like to define that. If owner occupied means that the owner comes once every 6 months and stays there, it is owner occupied. And they're not necessarily using it as the rental unit, but it's a pretty major exception from my perspective.
There was someplace I read the definition of owner occupied was you live there more than 6 months a year.
I missed it if that's the case.
It's not, I think it was in a state statute
Oh, okay.
somewhere that I read.
I was looking at these, to be self-contained.
Yeah.
I have an issue,
And-
that's what people are gonna read.
And basically, owner occupied means that's your primary residence, which is more than 6 months a year.
The problem with that is you can have, when we look at where you can vote, you can literally get a little bit of mail and say my primary residence by declaration is Marion County, Kansas, but I live in Florida 11 months out of the year. There are some things to which the statute that you're referring to can apply. Other instances where it doesn't, and it just creates this major confusion that would be easily fixed by us adding something to B. That's just my thought on it. I'd belt and suspenders approach to it.
From the other issues that arise, there's a lot of people that live out of this county that tag their vehicles in this county.
A lot of them that tag them in Oklahoma for a very good reason.
Or in Texas.
Yes.
I mean, I guess from the people that I've talked to, the one I know out at the county lake, I mean, they live there and it's a guest cottage. I don't know that that's, we need to, I don't know how big of a deal that actually is. If we need to clarify that it's your primary residence and you live there more than 6 months a year, if we can clarify that.
And just note it in there. It's, I get paid to borrow trouble. And I read these and think, oh, if somebody really wants to argue with us based upon what we've done here, they can. And we have to go to the statute and we end up having to spend the time enforcing. It's a lot easier if it's just noted from my perspective. But you're right, I don't think it's a big deal.
So
We don't have a prevalence of that kind of thing going on out there. So
this would be resolution number 10.
10.
So let's see if I can word my motion.
Does that address your concerns, Mr. Mock?
It's the second best solution, so I'm happy with that.
It doesn't,
It would, it would address my concern, because mine would stay at 8. I feel like the lower the number, the more you're competing with other areas that do. For example, a few years ago, my family came in from out of town. There was an Airbnb that now we know was non-compliant, that was offering 12, I think, beds. And so just right down the road from me, my family stayed. This year in May, they're coming back. They actually have rented a short-term rental in Newton because they can have more there. So, I mean, there's just, that doesn't affect me so much, but, you know, economically and stuff, there probably is somewhat of a cost to the county overall.
I'll make a motion to approve or take the recommendation of the planning and zoning and approve resolution number 2026-10 with pending approval of a definition of owner occupied to be included.
I would second that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Resolution, Article 19 has passed.
So do they not sign up when we do with this resolution? Because
The resolution itself, well,
The resolution states that language specifically, so we'll need to revise the resolution.
we have to change the resolution in order for it to be passed. Probably if it's not an issue, just do that next week, because I don't know if you want to do that on the fly.
so I wonder if,
You have to rescind.
That was pending.
It is pending, so it's a staff review kind of a, I think you can probably leave that subject to passage of the resolution. Creating confusion.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not very clean.
Cleanest is probably to rescind that. Yeah.
I think it would, I think a more appropriate action might be, correct me if I'm wrong, Counselor, to direct staff to update the draft resolution for adoption next week to include the definition of the,
Owner occupied.
yes. I mean, you can still, I mean, you can approve the action, but I don't know that you'd want to adopt the resolution if it's not the right way.
I'll rescind.
It's been acted, voted upon, yes?
Yeah, it was.
Motion to rescind. Second vote.
Motion to rescind.
Second.
All those in favor to rescind?
Aye.
Aye.
Against?
Who,
Aye.
I guess when we made that motion, who second the
Jordan.
first one?
Motion second, motion second.
Second vote.
Had the same both times.
Thank you.
So then,
So what is that going to be,
So-
that definition? And who sets that definition?
Bring that for approval then.
If you want to just throw out a definition, several different definitions, add us by email. We could reply independently.
That's fine.
Well, here's the thing, I'm sorry to keep asking questions, but if this is a change to the text of the zoning regulations, it would have to go through
Planning and zoning
that
again.
process, would it not? To add that?
Well,
You can,
It'd just be an addition, this wouldn't be a change.
so by a 2/3 vote or supermajority,
Yeah,
they
they can
can
just do it.
override the
They had a 5-0
recommendation of the
this time.
planning commission's recommendation. That would technically be
Okay.
overriding the planning commission's recommendation.
Okay,
Essentially, it's not really changing anything, it's adding a definition in there, but you're still overriding what the planning commission recommended to you.
Since theirs is advisory, that ability to overrule exists.
so I think what you've done now is okay, because we can still put the in, and as long as you're all gonna support it as we have the new version.
Yeah, and if they don't achieve the supermajority, then it bounces back to planning and zoning.
Oh.
And you have the ability to do that with just cause or with, I guess
Staff recommendation, yeah.
The term owner occupied refers to a property where owner lives in it as their primary residence. This designation is significant in real estate as it influences various aspects such as financing options, insurance costs, tax obligations. Does that work?
Be a little more thorough than that.
Typically, to be considered with the owner occupied, the owner must move into the property within a specified time frame. Well, that leaves it open. Often within 60 days of closing on a mortgage, and maintain primary residence for a minimum duration, usually 12 months following closing. So I guess all those
Now
things.
you've gotten to the part that I'm most concerned with. The period of time that they actually occupy it, it's more than a majority of the year. Otherwise, you can get someone who, I'm gonna declare this my primary residence, they don't have to be there more than one day a month, one day a year, if they don't want to. They pay utilities, they go ahead and get some mail there. And it's somewhat subjective. In our regulations, the ability to go ahead and tighten that exists, and that's what I'm looking at doing.
Does anybody have a time frame as far as majority of the year?
I would be happy with the majority of the year, but
That's fine. I do it that way.
more than their principal residence occupied more than 6 months per year.
Do that.
Good.
So is this just a consensus?
Yeah.
Okay.
That way it
I've guidance.
limits how much he's gotta email us and then us independently email him back without keeping a chain link meeting.
So then this would be back
This week.
for the first meeting in March.
Oh, that's right. That's all we've got left this week, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, are we ready to move on to Article 27?
That one was an 8-1, right?
What's that?
That one was an 8-1. 8-1.
8-1, yes. Okay, at the Board of County Commission meeting last week, you requested a clean copy, well, you tabled the item, requested a clean copy of the draft that is being proposed for approval by the Planning Commission. And that has been provided in your packet. With the fixing item
Fighting item 12 with not G but G.
right,
G.
correct.
Trying to remember if my memory still works.
Was it 27-105, number 12? Not 2.V, however, correcting that reference to 2.G, and also 550 feet instead of 1/4 mile on that same point.
So since it's just clarification, this wouldn't be overriding, right?
Yeah, that was more of a clerical reference error.
The clarification, I don't know.
Scrivener's error.
So still use 2610, right? Okay. I'll make a motion to take the planning and zoning's recommendation and approve resolution 2026-10 as it applies to Article 27.
Second that.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All Article 27 passed as is, as presented. Have information on the data center. This also includes.
So discussion of the definition.
Somebody online. Tanya, I believe is there. Oh, okay.
You ready?
Sorry, Sharon.
We do have slides. I do have printouts if you guys want a copy of the slides here, so. All right, if you go to the next slide. So I'll get us started here. My name is Josh Weiser. I'm a longtime resident here and I'm on the Planning and Zoning Board as well. But I've been listening to the discussions on data center and the interest there. And part of my, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. I'm here with Tanya Witherspoon. Both of us have been in the IT industry for the last 30 years, 30 years of experience. So most recently, I've actually been dealing with AI data centers around the world and scoping them from a storage perspective and working on those. Tanya has her own business in Wichita, and you can read her profile here, but both of us have been deeply involved with this. So the goals, if you go to the next slide, the goals today are to just provide information because there will be a working session coming up with our Planning and Zoning Board where we'll present some of the same information to look through and help us look at from a county perspective. What are data centers? What do they bring to us? Maybe what things to avoid. And we're going to go look a little bit deeper into some of these. So go to the next slide. And I'm going to let Tanya do most of the talking. She's an expert in the field. Some of you guys see my ugly face all the time, so we'll let you hear from somebody else. So Tanya, go for it.
Thank you.
Sure. Nice to talk to all of you. So again, we're just here to bring information. These slides will leave it with you and they have a lot of information. I'm not gonna read them to you. I'm gonna try to just cover a little bit. If there's a question right in a slide, just ask it there, okay? If there's a topic you want more information. So who are building data centers? Lots of different people are building data centers. Real estate developers certainly are using, their land, but energy providers are building data centers. Hyperscaler, that's a term for a large company that builds what we would think of as city-sized data centers, campus size, like a couple of Walmarts put together. That would be Meta and Google. Those are hyperscalers if you haven't heard that term. You can flip to the next. So why Kansas? Why are we starting to see people coming here and wanting to build data centers here? There have been. Do I need to stop for a sec?
No, you can keep going. It's just
Okay.
we've got a sound issue.
Okay.
So people online can't hear you.
Okay. So why Kansas?
You have the slides so they can follow others.
there have been a couple of things that have happened in Kansas recently that have caused some attention. Senate Bill 98, and you can go read more about it, is giving people that are building data centers in Kansas a sales tax abatement. Okay, so sales tax would be on all of what it takes to build the data center, large amount of money, but it's upfront costs mostly. We're the 37th state to have that same type of sales tax abatement. Okay, so there are 36 other states that were already trying to get data centers to come to their state. And we're the 37th that did that. But we did something in it that's really smart that I want to make sure that you know. We have a fusion center, and it is a security division that reports to the Attorney General. And if a company takes that sales tax abatement, they have to be investigated by the Fusion Center. So that is to secure, make sure that China, bad actor, all of that, and the state is taking that on for us. So here in Marion County, you don't have to worry about that. So it's really good that we went ahead and jumped on the ballpark of everybody giving a sales tax abatement, but we put a really nice piece in there that works for us, okay? For the state of Kansas, that really helps us. And that helps all of you because you don't have to worry about it. The state has also been investing federal broadband dollars into our broadband infrastructure. When I just left Wichita State University. I was an associate vice president there building the innovation campus. And one of the last partnerships that we had was with the state of Kansas to build an internet exchange point on the state's land there. State of Kansas doesn't have one yet. So this is a major piece of broadband infrastructure. And the state of Kansas is investing money in 800 miles of middle mile fiber that connects that internet exchange point to the internet exchange point in Missouri at 1102 Grand. All of this together makes it attractive. Okay, we've got an abatement, we've got broadband, all of that. So the next slide is, what is a data center? What is it? So data centers can be lots of things. Josh was just pointing out, you have a data center right here in the closet. You've got a server, you got some equipment running all of this. That's a data center right there in the corner. In the corner. That is the data center. So using that term on its own is something that you ought to think about, okay? Because the data center can be that small to as big as 2 or 3 Walmarts put together. It depends on what it's doing, what the equipment in it is for, who's building it, and for what. Okay? So we've put a lot of uses in here for you to think about. A lot of them are things you use every day, watching Netflix and using Zoom, YouTube, right? All of the things that we do. But the last 3 bullet points on the slide. Do you want me to stop for a minute?
No, you keep going.
Okay. The last 3 bullet points on those slides. Yeah, you guys can't see the slides anymore, so you don't know what I'm talking about. The last 3 are what I want to draw your attention to. I'm on, I don't have a slide number. I'm on
What is a data center?
what is a data center, and then the slide after that. It's got a list with some logos on it. This looks like this. Got it? Okay, what's a data center? Data centers are the backbone of the digital economy. So the last 3 bullets is what I want you to look at really is AI inferencing and AI training. I want to talk about those 2 differently. So AI really runs on 2 completely different types of workloads. AI training is very, very compute intensive, and that's what needs a very, very large Walmart size scale. That's how we build and train the large language models like ChatGPT and Grok. Okay. Inference is when we use those large language models. Okay, so we need to get to the large language model and we need to use that, but we're not training it anymore. those inferencing models need the data center to be much closer to us so that we can have a conversation back and forth very quickly. Does that make sense to you? So that's largely what I think we'll see here in Kansas more, or what we would want to see, put it that way. Because inferencing is what we need for smart ag, for precision healthcare, for precision oil and gas. If we talk about autonomous vehicles or autonomous drones, we need to have sub 3 milliseconds of latency. And what that means is we have to have an inferencing data center very close to us, within 50 miles, in order to have that kind of connectivity. If we want to have healthcare procedures, not just healthcare over Zoom, but I'm talking about some kind of a robotic aided procedure remotely, we would need that kind of latency. We would need to be able to have access to a data center where that data or inferencing can come from that short a time and react that quickly. That's why the state of Kansas is investing in the middle mile infrastructure and the internet exchange point so that we can have those things. Okay, so the edge compute data centers that provide that are usually very small. Okay? They might actually be what's in your corner. They might be this size of a room, a small building, but that's what we need to run those types of procedures. So anyway, the main thing to note is just saying data center alone doesn't tell you at all what you're talking about. You have to actually ask, what's it for? How big is it going to be? What kind of equipment's going to be in it? So the kind of equipment, the next slide, the brain, the kind of equipment that is in a data center is really three things. The computer, the server, the storage where all of the information is saved, and the network or the road where the data travels back and forth from. Okay, so each of those needs power, cooling, fire suppression. This is where we get into our resources, right? How we trade these resources. So power systems, cooling systems, fire suppression take a lot of power, but again, depending on the size, and what it's doing, we might want a small edge compute data center that helps us drive our autonomous ag vehicles, that we need for our farms. So we need to think about those types of things. There's always security, physical security that's involved. The next one is the type of data centers and the power, or I guess it's just the type of data centers, period. There's enterprise data centers. These are already in our banks, in our grocery stores, Walmart. There's already data centers that are deployed within private companies everywhere. One of the largest one is one that Josh and I worked together at LSI, was purchased by NetApp, and NetApp is currently running a data center in Wichita with over 250 racks. And if any of you would like to go in it and see what it's like and listen to it or view it or talk to the data engineers there that run it, it is a private data center running for that business, but we can take you on a tour anytime. You'd like one? I want to go. Anytime, we can do that. Enterprise data centers, we have a lot of those already. Okay, they're all over the state. Colo or co-location means that that's a data center that's available for you to rent some space in, for you to actually use. And we only have one in the entire state of Kansas right now. It's in Wichita, and it's very small. It's about the size of 2 of these rooms. That's all. So hyperscale, like I told you before, is really, really big. Those are for Meta and Google, AWS. And then the edge compute data centers that I already discussed, which are usually smaller, but they're located very close to where the data is needed to be processed. There's lots of different kinds of cooling. How many people have heard about it takes a lot of water to cool a data center? Yes, okay. So most modern data centers are cooled with something just like your radiator. It is all encapsulated. It just goes back and forth. The old style data centers were done by evaporation, which did take constant water, but very few are now. And that's something that you can zone and permit on, okay? You can just say it has to be. Has to be a closed loop system. And that's not hard and not expensive. It's the way most of it is. Put you in anytime you want.
Yeah, so the next page, there's some pictures on there. That is a picture of the beginning of a closed loop system. So I took that at the lab that I work in Richardson, Texas. The blue barrels you see in there are 55-gallon barrels of basically antifreeze that are pumping into those racks. It'll pump them into those racks, it will cool off the antifreeze, and then it ships it out via 4-inch lines to the racks of equipment that are in the data center, and all those racks have manifolds on the front that literally the liquid goes into a cold plate that's sitting on top of the chip inside the server or a network card. So it's fairly new enterprise technology, but that's what I just included that so you guys could get a reference point to what a closed loop system might look like.
That would get the cooling fluid closest to the point of heat.
Yes, right.
I'm working on a project now where the network chip is sandwiched between two cold plates, and that's sending liquid right through those cold plates.
That's something to note. Technology moves so quickly that you might have read about something and that's the way it was done, but something that's built new, you can absolutely require these new things are how they are built. Okay, so that's why we wanted to bring some of this to you. There are really smart subject matter experts right here, in our state that can help you think through what would be good permitting and zoning requirements so that when something like this comes in, you want it here. It's because it's going to work for you. It's going to bring you property taxes. It's going to bring you jobs. It's it's so that you know what you're inviting and what you're saying. No, we don't want that. Right? I forgot to say something back on the sales tax thing. So the state of Kansas has already put away a sales tax, an abatement for all data centers. Now they have to go through that rigorous fusion center, thing, but then they can get a sales tax. That doesn't mean that the county or the city can't put a sales tax on. You are absolutely right to put a sales tax if you want. And that would be an extra pot of money that you could have coming in on top of property tax. So again, sales tax is what's purchased in the beginning. It's usually a big nut at the very beginning, but there is software and hardware that is continuously purchased for data centers.
So you're just saying sales tax is abated, not the property tax.
Right. Property tax has not been abated at all, but the sales tax that has been is only state. That doesn't mean that you guys can't make your own, choices. Now, this is always a negotiation, with the company. But if you said, we're going to charge a sales tax and we're going to put that into workforce deployment, we're going to make sure that we've got the workforce you need and the workforce that we want to build around the data economy, that would be a win-win because that company would most likely, want you to build, workforce. So that would be a good negotiating. Another thing that I would suggest would be to negotiate a fund around environmental gotchas. Like if something happens, you, data center, are going to pay for it. But just in case we didn't think about it or, technology changes and all, we're going to go ahead and have a sales tax and a pot of money so that we can take care of things as they pop up. Things like that are a win-win. And a company would be okay with a sales tax if they knew that you were actually doing something with it. So just remember, you have a lot of the reason why people are looking in Kansas is because we have a lot of really good resources. We need to negotiate well so that what we get back is what we want and it works for us. We need access to data points, right? We need this, but we're not going to give away Kansas's resources, unless we benefit from them as well. So there's a power summary here. It goes a little bit more depth into the different types of data centers that Josh and I have talked about. Kind of helps you understand what are the power consumptions for those different types. Again, I wouldn't have any kind of legislation that used the word data center. because that word doesn't even mean anything. I would put the legislation down to real specific uses, right? How many racks, what kind of power it's using, what kind of water, and then make some classifications around that. Does that make sense? That's a lot better than saying data center, which could mean a mansion or, a shed. It's just really too hard. Evergy has already put a tariff out. And I put a couple of links on this slide for you. When you guys get the deck, there's several links that you can go look at. You can actually read the tariff and then a couple of articles about it. This all has to do with data center owners and operators, builders have to pay their own energy costs. Okay, Evergy has already staked that out. And since they're one of the larger energy providers, all the rest of the energy providers can lean on this and write the same kinds of tariffs. So it's really good to get yourself knowledgeable of what Evergy has already done, and we could bring somebody in if you haven't already to help you understand that, so that your local energy providers can also do similar things. So I think this is our last slide, the economic, oh no, this deck doesn't have all the slides that are there.
Next one was the water reality, solving the hum.
Oh, okay, I have it on my phone. I'll do it. The water reality, I think that's just talking about the fact that the closed loop system that we already talked about, so just be aware of that. And then the hum. So how many people have talked about or heard about the sound that a data center makes? Okay, so I just want to clarify. There's sound from noise and there's sound from vibration. The sound from noise is already in your policies and permitting, most likely. The sound from vibration probably isn't. Okay, so that's what you want to look at. You want to add the DBC sound, and that's from the vibration of something. So just so you know, just like in a company, there's things that go on in the company. You usually can't hear those outside. It's the same with a data center. A data center is very noisy inside, but once you get outside the walls, you can't hear it. But the heating and cooling and battery backup and the generators that are outside of the building, that's what really causes all of this hum. And so again, making sure that your permitting is, and I'm sure all of your things are doing the same thing. So you're probably talking about it. Yeah.
Take the heat off you.
Yeah, you're probably talking about this already. You're probably talking about several of these things with renewable energy. So the next thing is just smart siting. Just don't give up any of our good grade A farmland. Okay? There's no reason for a data center to sit on any of our good grade A farmland. Know where it is. And where's the rocky farmland? Where are the brownfields? Where are the things that we've got some problems and we just assume somebody else clean them up? Well, let's advertise those to these data center people. Let's, because they can clean them up, put some concrete on them and build a data center there. And then it's a win-win. So be proactive, I guess is what I'm saying. Look, they're coming in and just trying to take a stab at where they want to build something. Let's find out. Let's put a list together where we want them to do things, where, and how we want them to do it and how we can actually benefit. The next slide is beyond the 50 jobs myth. You've probably heard that data centers are very, very dense in equipment and not dense in people. Okay, so a very, very large hyperscale data center usually only has about 50 people in it. Okay, when it's first being built, and it takes several years, 2 or 3 years to build a data center, it can generate 1,500 to 2,000 jobs in construction. Okay, so it's very, very rich in that. But the ongoing number is very small, under 50. But the data center environment that it brings, and especially if we bring in tax dollars to incentivize our workforce, is very, very lucrative. It can bring in hundreds of jobs, and these jobs can be very, very high paying and do not need a college degree. Okay? I just took 34, they were in college, but they didn't unfortunately didn't need to go to college for what I taught them. I took 34 WSU students through a cybersecurity registered apprenticeship. And in 9 months, they all graduated with industry certifications and were offered jobs at $80K and more. Okay, that's the kind of jobs that can come with this new industry being invited into Kansas. And if we, invest in our workforce and our kids and our people, they'll stay here. I am the mom of 5 and grandma to going to be 5 in June. And I want them to stay here, but I also want them to have the jobs that they want that will keep them in Kansas. So I care about all of this as much as you guys do. So that's our last slide, the economic opportunity. There is large amounts of property tax. So why? A data center, the denseness of the property that's in a data center, because these pieces of equipment are billions, can be $25 million for one rack of equipment. Okay, so the density of the value is very, very big. So it can equal, the property tax for one data center can equal an entire subdivision of people, okay, developing an entire subdivision with hundreds of homes. But the data center takes up less property, doesn't require schools and fire stations and roads and all of that to be built. So the amount of property tax you can generate is actually very large. And remember, even though the state has abated the sales tax at the state level, you can charge city and county sales tax. So you can bring in ongoing revenue. And if invested right, we can build the right kinds of jobs for our future. And we do need some data centers close to us in order to participate in the inferencing part of AI that runs smart ag, healthcare, security, all of that. So we have some links and our contact information. You have any questions?
Thank you.
Can you build these amongst the wind farm?
It depends.
I mean, as long as the distance is
Yeah.
far enough.
Yeah, they can cohabitate.
Some of that land's not
Yeah.
prime firm.
That's not a bad idea, especially smaller edge data centers, absolutely. Yeah, there's nothing, a data center doesn't emit frequencies. That's another thing. A lot of people think it's gonna pollute the groundwater or emit frequencies. Data centers' roads are fiber optic lines, which is glass. And there is no, nothing going down into our soil or our groundwater or nothing that would interfere with the wind turbines.
So is the foothills off limits?
That's for you
It
guys
is
to decide.
No, so what he's referencing is the governor moratorium on wind farms on the Flint Hills.
Oh,
He's asking, is there also a moratorium from the state level in any certain parts of?
not at the state level.
Okay.
Yeah, for data centers. There are several counties. Harvey County has already put a pause until, I think, 2028. Sedgwick County is currently in a 30-day pause just to learn. They got overwhelmed with and didn't have any policy or anything ready. But the state, absolutely. The state is trying to help us. I don't think the state will do anything more than help us, which, they got us to the table with the same sales tax abatement that all other states are doing, or almost all. But what they put on it for the security piece was really, really smart. And then they are investing federal dollars. The broadband money is federal dollars that the state pulled down, and those dollars are being invested in more broadband infrastructure.
What about you hear about the fast track on the building permits federally if they provide their own power systems? Is that just on federal ground, or
Yes.
is that just, that doesn't play here?
It doesn't, or you could make it play here. Or you could decide, I think what Josh and I are trying to help you with is you don't know how to shop for data. You don't know anything about data centers, so you don't know really what's good and what's bad. if you educate yourself some more, you know, and decide what would benefit Marion, you know, and what you don't want, then you would be able to be at the table proactively instead of defensively. And in this market, I would not want to be on the defense. Okay, these are people with lots and lots of money with more zeros than we're used to talking to. So I think it's better to know the resources we have. We obviously have a lot of what they need, and that's why they're knocking on our door. So, you know, let's get educated and make it work for us. Let's decide how we want Kansas to participate in the digital economy. That's my own little opinion, but that's what I would do, and that's what I hope we do.
They do need to be located close to existing fiber. I mean, it's expensive to run the.
That's part of why I put a link. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the amount of fiber that the state is building with that broadband money, or where the other fiber is, because you're absolutely right. It is not just power and electricity, it is fiber. And the other part of the fiber is an internet exchange point. So just like, talk about an internet exchange point, just like we're a flyover state, lots of airplanes go over and don't land. We have huge amounts of fiber that run under the state and don't ever come up and stop and allow us to connect. There's a lot of fiber. All the fiber from the East Coast to the West Coast goes right under Kansas. But we don't have what's called an internet exchange point, or a building that brings that fiber up out of the ground, puts it in a switch, and allows us to connect. We're building one now. It'll go online this summer, and that's part of what's attracting people, because we now will actually have, we haven't had one in the entire state of Kansas. Dallas-Fort Worth has 22 in their city. Internet exchange points. We don't even have one in the state.
Where's that one going?
It's going in Wichita, on Wichita State University's campus, so it'll be neutral.
It's down on 21st or up on Jabara?
21st. Yeah, right there at 21st Street, which is all where a ton of the fiber is going. But there will be trunk lines that will be built out from there, and Marion will benefit from that.
Is the fiber was put in 40 years ago, that's still good?
Oh, yeah, fiber optic
We
lines.
got where it goes from East Coast to, from West Coast to East Coast, right a mile north of us here.
Yeah, does it stop though?
No.
That's my point. Yeah.
It's been around for 40 years.
Right.
But
Yes, fiber optics
it's one of the first big ones.
lasts, you know, a lot. I expect that we will have more internet exchange points. Okay, we don't even have one. We're going to have one. Now data centers are starting, you know, to come. We will need more internet exchange points, you know, to connect to these big fiber lines. And I expect we'll have small edge compute data centers that allow us to do inferencing and deliver the kind of data that we need to our cities and our hospitals and our farmland and, you know, all of that. But that's different from a really large hyperscale data center, you know, that's 2 Walmarts big. A lot of edge compute data centers are a modular building that comes on a semi-truck and gets plotted on the land. And then the fiber's dug up and it's put into a patch panel and you can connect there. Does that make sense?
The first link on here is a map of all the networks in Marion County. So when you guys get time, you can take a look at it, and it will show you the speeds that are in the county. And what you'll find there is Marion and Hillsborough have 2.5 gig link speeds here. The rest of the counties 1 gig in a lot of places, but the higher the bandwidth, the more likely that's where somebody's going to want to put a data center.
I'll ask the dumbest question of the day. Is there any advantage to one of our participating counties to do something together or not? Or do we need to be Marion County's whole?
No, I don't think, I mean.
I don't know what confusion that would make, but.
My opinion would be, if we're gonna do it, we do it as Marion County, and if we're gonna do it, we get all the benefits of the county.
Just, like I said, it's probably the dumbest question we had today.
I mean, unless you got somebody that wants to build one right on the border and span the 2 counties, that's a different ballgame, but if we're gonna do it, I would say we get the revenue from it.
I would agree, but there might be somebody that is looking at building multiple edge compute data centers, small ones. You know, one in Marion and one in Harvey and one, you know, several, and it might be one developer or one company, and they might want all of you to pool together so that they don't have to do something different in Marion than they do here. So it might come up.
Strong City in Cottonwood is just a few miles
Right.
across our county line,
Yeah.
which isn't far even from where we're sitting here.
Part of what's hard with policy and permitting and, you know, even laws around data is how fast it goes. Data doesn't see your county line. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't even see the nation really, you know, so it's hard to enforce those kinds of policies. So I would agree, I think as a county, you need to pull down the money that you can. You need to really think about the resources you have and what you can benefit from and how the companies that are already here need data. I would do a survey. You know, who would like to or needs more data to do their work, you know, and hasn't been able to do it because they can't get it affordable, close enough, you know, in ways. I would understand all that. And then, yes, I would work with other counties if there's, you know, some type of, you know,
Certain areas
regional.
to tie into something.
Yeah,
Across the
exactly.
line or something.
Right.
Beneficial for both.
It would be beneficial for both. I think that if we all make different rules, we're gonna
It
make
just
it hard.
causes the chaos that
Yes.
we don't need.
We're gonna make it hard for everybody. And we're lucky a little bit because we're behind. So we can watch what other people have done in other cities and states and learn from that.
The best.
Yeah, and think about the best. Also think about the fact that technology is changing so much. So the things that are really hard and expensive are what people are trying to solve problems for. Okay, so we should be able to require the very best that's available now. We don't need somebody's old stuff to come in here, right? So we should be able to require the very best of what's available now and hope in the future that upgrades will make it even easier and better.
The fourth link on there is a video of a new data center from ground up being built. So it walks you through the construction of the building, what it looks like, installation of the racks. So take a look at that. That'll get you familiar. And if, again, I'll get an email with Tina, figure out who wants to come over to Wichita to NetApp, and I'll get you into the data center and we can walk through that one and see it.
It's in the slide deck, the picture of the outside of NetApp. That's the outside of NetApp's data center. So that's another thing. These don't have to be unsightly. You can require setbacks, you can require landscaping, you know, you can require it to look nice. See how pretty that is? You wouldn't know that, you know, houses 250 racks.
Our company's cloud-based. How would that help us?
How would it help you?
Yeah.
That's what a data center is the
Everything we do
cloud.
went to the cloud.
Yeah, a data center is the cloud. Yeah, so if you need it closer, so like for inferencing, if you need to connect to the cloud closer, you can't do that until we build data centers here.
Why would I need to connect closer?
Whenever anything you're doing is having to do with AI and you need a response time really far, yeah, so right now, a lot of what we do are streaming, okay, so we upload a file or we download a file, we watch a video or we upload a file. We know how to buffer those files so that they, you know, can be large and all. AI is a conversation back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And so that requires a shorter time to get to the content and to get back. We call that round trip delay. And it might be that you're waiting for it, but the bigger things are your machine is waiting for it. So again, like an autonomous vehicle or drone in your field, if it's waiting to know when it should turn or not, It's, it's dead in the water. It needs to be able to position itself regularly. If we want to have healthcare procedures, again, robotic procedures, that information has to go back really, really quick. If we want to have financial security at the keystroke, in other words, stopping a bad transaction while we're making it, that would have to be low latency. So you would care about that.
Thanks for being interested in.
Mm-hmm. This is such a high-level, quick thing. I'm sure this didn't ultimately help you, but if we can help you learn more, that's all we wanted to do. Was make sure that you guys are on the offensive, not the defensive. That you know what you have and how you can best put it in front of these companies.
Question?
Can I have, do you mind? I just want to ask, because Marion County, there is a large portion of Marion County that doesn't have internet service, will this get that more equal to Marion County, in Marion County?
The data center doesn't provide internet service, so just having a data center doesn't. But the ecosystem around the data center pulls that more broadband would need to be created. Yes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because we have a lot of dead spots.
Yes.
Here
and
in
that's
Marion.
part of what the state is trying to fix. You should go and look at the Free State Middle Mile network that's being laid, because it's very close to you guys. And what that is bringing a very large artery very close. And so some of your internet service providers will start to spawn off of that at cheaper rates.
So that's
and
what
that will help you.
So if a data center got built here, more services would eventually come.
Yes. As long as we're a wasteland of nothing, that's what's going to continue. But if we probably want to welcome some of this in here, but we want to do it in a way that works for our community. We want to be smart. We want to get more internet. We want to, use the money to train our folks so they can get good paying jobs. Just like a data center brings more connectivity and all, that would give us access to more remote work. Josh and I have been able to work all over the world our whole lives and live in Kansas and get paid IT prices and not move anywhere. I would like lots more people from Kansas. I'd like all of our kids, to be able to have that kind of training and choose to work wherever they want, and get the wages that those jobs, pay.
And I think that was my goal, was to make sure that we're doing what's best for Marion County and that we don't get run over by one of these conglomerates that just comes in and takes advantage of us and doesn't really benefit us.
I appreciate the time you're already spending, because it is really easy to get run over when the words don't make any sense, the acronyms don't make any sense, none of the numbers or money, or anything that has laid onto the work that we already do, right? So the more we can understand it and get some policies, or if it's not a policy, at least a guidebook, right? A negotiation book, so that you know what we have and what it's worth, so that we get fair market value for what it is. We are gonna probably leave off several zeros when we're negotiating if we don't understand the value of why they're knocking on our door.
Do these data centers have wireless capability and capacity, or is it all fiber optic direct connection or hardwire?
It depends. There can be fixed wireless, but that's these are mostly going to be connected with fiber. Yeah. Now they will support the fixed wireless and wireless systems. Yeah. In fact, every time you ping with your phone, you are hitting a data center. Okay. The phone call can't get made until it touches the data center. So in that way, yes.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Okay, but data centers themselves don't send their own data wirelessly. Okay. So it supports that, definitely.
So I get a complaint to me Sooners. What would you do?
Yes. Yeah. Well, again, Josh knows lots of engineers right here in our towns that know Kansas and care about Kansas. So I would lean on him to get some subject matter experts that will help you, so that you can understand, how to put the playbooks together that you want and how to negotiate, how you want to negotiate. I'm getting called from all kinds of counties everywhere, including Sedgwick County, one of our biggest. So Johnson County knows a little bit more. The Kansas City area has already been building out in data centers. In fact,
They're going up with another one right now.
they're going up with another one. How many people remember when they got Google Fiber?
That's an AI data center though, right? It's
Google's,
Yeah, Google's AI. That's probably what's gonna go in our.
and that's what
Eagle?
Yeah, do you remember when Kansas City got Google Fiber about 10 years ago? That's when Kansas City, Missouri built an internet exchange point. When Kansas City, Missouri built an internet exchange point about 10 years ago, that's when Google Fiber came in, that's when the data centers, that's when the ecosystem that they currently have started coming in, and they have made a lot of money off of it.
So when this
Internet exchange point.
exchange point comes online, that's gonna open up
Yes.
a big swath of central Kansas.
Well, yes, it absolutely is. That's why you're already getting calls, okay? Because it's the governor appropriated this money a couple of years ago, so it's been in the works for a couple of years, and all of the data center folks know that it's coming online. But what I'm trying to say is, we have friends right in Kansas City, Missouri that we can talk to, in Kansas City, Kansas, of what is good and what is bad, what they wished, that they had done. There are case studies all across the nation, that we could pull down to learn from, what is good. I would caution you to look at anything too old and think that that's what will happen here, just because technology has changed so much. A lot of how it's built, I would just double check it, but it's still good to find out what other people have done.
I would say if it's more than 3 years old, don't put a lot of weight on it.
Well,
Technology,
no different than your computer.
Yeah.
Technology's moving that fast.
Computer and your phone, it's just after a few years, you gotta upgrade it.
So that's another question you guys didn't ask. So what happens if this just becomes some big hunk of metal, in our land? Well, to date, that really hasn't happened. The data business is booming. It's not going away, okay? When somebody comes in and they invest that many billions of dollars into land, they keep it up, and they usually keep it going and maintain it. Somebody buys it if that's needed, but there aren't abandoned data centers sitting around anywhere. That's why the sales tax is important, because there is ongoing purchasing happening, that you would want to capture.
If you find any abandoned ones, let me know. I'll go and take all their gear.
But you should put, provisions in your permitting and zoning, that there are ways that they have to pull it all out if, something happens, that they have to clean it up, and all of that, similar to anything that you're bringing in, any kind of manufacturing, whatever, but that hasn't been a worry.
Any other questions? Okay. I'll get the list together for the tour, whoever wants to go. And I'm also part of the Greater Wichita Planning that's talking about data centers in Sedgwick County and Wichita, so I'll be able to bring a lot of that back here as lessons learned when we meet with planning and zoning and talk about this. And I'll share those notes with you guys as I'm getting them. This slide deck, if you guys want access to it, I can add your emails to it, and I'll just add to this as I learn more.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Brad wants it. Yeah.
Thank you for your time, Tanya.
Just so nobody's thrown off, our typical procedure is to drop a moratorium on it to trigger planning and zoning to start building the box. So A lot of times people are like, well, you just heard all this positive stuff and they threw a moratorium on it anyway. That's because that process, it's how.
That's what most counties are doing, because it's so important to them. And they're taking the time to learn, and they don't want the noise or problem of having to answer questions when they're not prepared. So that is happening everywhere. That would be right in line. The state has not done that.
Sometimes it's perceived like
Yeah.
the opposite of.
Well, I would think that you inviting and taking this much time out of your meeting would be good to show everybody that this is why. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things to consider, and you're gonna, continue to meet and learn, and that takes time.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I just want to thank you. You took over the meeting the other night as the new chairman. I thought you did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Keeping that moving forward.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Josh.
Josh, you need that paper.
Yep, you can have it. Thank you.
It's not complete.
That's all.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll talk to you afterwards.
I'm here to answer questions.
See you shaking your head and I ain't trying to call nobody out.
Anything that alerts you to any of this so at this point?
No, I agree with everything that was said, and probably the only thing, from a power standpoint, just to understand, I think you're correct, federal, like if they put one on, at Fort Riley, that would be, the federal to do that, find the power for it. Outside of that, so let's just say rural Marion County, it would either fall under Flint Hills or Evergy. And we've taken the steps and continue taking the steps to know how to provide power. That's what we do. So, for a center to bring their own power, they legally can't do that because of the protected territories within Marion County, within our service areas. So that'd be the only thing that.
I forgot, utilities like the mob, huh?
Yeah, no comment. But anyway, just know that also the way the moratorium that you proposed, we went back and did some research. There'd be 22 businesses right now that would not have built in Marion. And those are all internet, cellular signals, communication type, fiber type businesses. So.
I encourage you to bring your concerns to us.
No, and we will, and I guess that'd be a question to the commission would be if you have somebody or if somebody, because sometimes we get calls quite a bit saying, hey, we're looking at this, we need X amount of power, can you do it? And we say, yeah, we can. But with this on, and I guess maybe that's something in the moratorium would be to, what are the procedures? If somebody's interested in coming to rural Marion, who do they talk to, how does that go? Is what I'm afraid if they see that there's a moratorium, they're just gonna fly right over you and go land in McPherson or somewhere like that. So.
Well, we already have an uphill battle with McPherson because of BPU.
100%, yeah.
So we do 6 months instead of a multi-year one or something? Keep the planning going.
We had a few of the planning and zoning members, we should have asked them.
Josh is right outside.
Our moratorium doesn't include anybody from coming to Hillsborough.
No, right, and I guess, if you do 6 months, you can always suspend it.
Rural Marion needed annexed ground outside in order to facilitate.
We had a question of you concerning, being you're on planning and zoning, about if there's a moratorium put on.
How long would it take to build
How long would
lots?
it take to write regs on that?
I just was talking to Sharon over the weekend via email, telling her I would like to set up the first work meeting on it at 2 hours. And I think we're gonna need multiple meetings like that probably to work through the data, so. If you had a 6-month moratorium, I think we could get through it. But we're gonna have to be
You
focused.
also have to have public comments and meetings for that, right?
Yeah, so my plan that I've been talking to Sharon about was every meeting, if we don't have applications, that's great because we meet and we talk about this stuff, because there's a couple of topics, but we will start working through all that, and I think we'll have to set up extra working sessions to make it happen in that time frame. I think it's possible. And there's other people alongside of Tanya that I'll bring in that are experts on the matter to talk with us. I would love to get somebody maybe from RACA that could tell us what the capacity is for power. Capacity, I mean, they will put water
Especially in our different areas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Spread out.
So I've got
Need
another.
anybody from Evergy, which is our main power source.
That's the questions I have. So Evergy's got the tariff, but how does that apply to Flint Hills if it's gonna be in their jurisdiction? Because Evergy's, they're putting that 500-acre data center up in Kansas City, and they had to go through that tariff program to build the infrastructure and sign that's a 12 to 15-year agreement, power purchase.
So you're saying if we did the moratorium, we set it for 6 months, then there'd probably be no planning and zoning cancellations meetings.
Right. Not.
We need to have every one of those
I would
meetings.
encourage you to go less than that and to extend it if needed, to show that you're doing due diligence so that you don't lose something. I would encourage you to think about a 60 or 90 day and say, we'll extend it as needed, but we're gonna work as hard as we can, cause this is important. That's what I would suggest. If you say 6 months, that sounds like you don't,
It's a lifetime.
it's not very important, yeah, I mean, and that you're gonna let it.
Wanna be fishing yet and stuff.
Roll and, so that's what some other counties are doing too, not just in Kansas, but across, the nation, and I think it pushes you to, it gives you a little bit tighter, but you can always extend it, because the important thing is not to sit at the table until you have, a clear idea of what you want done.
I think 60, like she said, because we got
What did
an expert to help
Wichita do, or Sedgwick do?
30 days.
She said,
They're gonna probably extend it, I bet, another one, but I think 60 days is a more fair.
But if we only meet once a month. So
It'll take time to get that.
I
At
think
least 90 days.
I think
at
at
least.
90's the minimum, and then we're gonna revisit it.
100 days from your next meeting, past that would
Yeah.
give us the full 90 days plus 10
Yeah.
from your next meeting.
I'm not saying it might not take you 6 months, I just think if you set something shorter and push yourself, you're giving a better signal that,
you're not closed-minded.
that you're not closed-minded, that you're trying to work on this, and I would hate for you, here's the deal, you might lose something, this isn't going away, okay? You have lots of good resources, you're gonna make some good decisions, and something good's gonna come to Marion, I'm sure. But you would wanna be first, right, to get the best?
planning and zoning can meet twice a month if we need to.
That's what he said, he's gonna have to pull work sessions, he's gonna have to pull some work sessions.
I've already kind of set the stage for that.
You might have to do that.
Well, what else, what was the other one we dropped on you, just the best systems? You have to take care of that one too.
Yeah.
That we have
That one's easier though.
Well,
Maybe.
maybe.
Alright,
And be reassured, Flint Hill, we do have the rates in place, and it also just depends on the size. When we start talking size, but we're flexible because we're member owned, we're not under a KCC jurisdiction, so anytime we need to have rates, it just goes in front of the membership for a vote.
Thank you, I think we'll get started, see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We want to I'd make a motion to have a 6 weeks moratorium on data centers.
90 days.
Well, no, you've got to request council to draft a resolution first.
If the consensus is you want to use 90 days, then I'm also going to be in touch with them on several things in terms of definitionally how we will.
90 days puts us out to what? March, April, May?
What's the consensus?
First of June.
Do a 90-day one then?
That's what he said, but he needed, I'm sure he would need it extended, but he sounded like probably needed extended.
I'll make a motion that, we instruct county council to draw up a draft resolution for a 90-day moratorium on data center issues.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Thank you.
And it still had, just for clarity, it still had that it didn't affect, what was it? Less than an acre?
Yeah.
And 10 kW, or 10 megawatt.
10 megawatt.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That exception's still in there for all our smaller existings.
We addressed that in battery
I drove
storage.
past another one I didn't know existed out there
There's,
just the other day. And I was talking about one and I was trying to find it. And I actually found a different one.
that's just ours. I don't know what would be on Evergy out in the county, so.
We want to address that both in battery storage and data center. We already addressed it about the 1 kW.
Megawatt. No, that's the power usage. It's power usage or power. So the data center is power usage. The BESS system is a power storage and discharge.
I mean, I don't want to
No, we're not combining the
push
two.
on what we've already done.
No, we're not combining the two.
Okay.
These are completely separated resolutions and have their own power demands.
And subject matter.
We're not changing the BESS system moratorium at this point. We're just changing the data center.
Don't change it now.
We're good. We're good.
Okay.
So you had on a review of, like a line-by-line review of this, of the rules of order. Do you want to still do that today, or do y'all want to take time on your own and review those and then talk about it on another day?
How much time do you need, Brad?
I'll throw it out there and punt that one next week or to payday, or either way, either one.
How many pages is it?
Well, it was in your packet. There were a couple of them.
Okay.
It's not very many pages. It's like 8
Are you
pages.
available, Brad, Friday? Are you available Friday if we take a look at Friday? Yes. Or do you know? Is any? Brad would need to be.
Next week.
My only concern with the code of procedures for Kansas City is it's always talking about mayors being the
strong.
the deciding vote in a case of a tie, and mayor's doing this and mayor's doing that.
It also references ordinances. I have to change it to fit for county.
The Rosenberg is kind of just a generic.
It is. I could change it to say sections, very much the same way, so you can always reference it in your motions, that sort of thing. And I have this mental block. I always call it Randolph's every time. It's Rosenberg. The National League has kind of put that out in different states. This one was done by our Kansas League, but in order to use it for counties, it references Chapter 12, which will work, but it also should reference Chapter 19. I just needed to know, okay, I've read them both and I really like one or the other, and then we just put it together so that it's referenceable and you can use it.
You can change it from, all it references municipalities.
Yeah, I just changed it to counties and resolutions versus ordinances. And like Commissioner Dirks has said, there's a lot of this mayoral stuff that's in it that is not something we concern ourselves with at all, even as chair versus, the commission. So I have to make modifications to it, but I've done that before. And the general process of it in terms of the rules that it sets out, work pretty well. So it's up to you.
The consensus is that we table it till next, March 2nd. That's our next meeting.
Yep. Just a meeting.
We're all right with that?
That's what everybody else wants.
Just, yeah.
Okay, we'll do that.
How big of a job is that to update the League of Municipalities?
I scan it in, convert it to Word, and just get after it. It's probably a couple hours.
Use AI to do that?
Take a 5-minute break.
I don't trust it to some extent, but yes.
I know.
We can take a 5-minute break. We need to.
Okay. Recess. Go play on the slide.
Be back at 2:56.
When did you jump out of the window?
Back in session. Going to executive session. I move that we recess into executive session. Where we discuss contract negotiation pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Consultation with attorney and matters deemed privileged under attorney-client privileges. The board, Brad and Tina, 5 minutes, so we're back at 3:03.
Second.
In favor?
Aye. Sorry, I just wanted you to come in there and hear it.
All good.
That way it's all.
We're back in session now, no decisions made.
You said 20 minutes
I think so.
for potential?
Mm-hmm.
We'll move that we recess into executive sessions in order to discuss potential litigations pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. To consultant with our attorney in matters deemed privilege under attorney-client privilege. With the board, Brad and Tina, for 20 minutes with 3:25.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned.
Okay.
We call the meeting back to order, no decisions was made. Anything else? Commissioner comments?
Just one comment. Was contacted by an individual with the American Discovery Trail, which goes through northern Marion County. They're having a 250th year anniversary walk, run, ride it, horse, whatever, across the United States starting July the 4th. They will be coming through Marion County. They have to make it to Delaware by Thanksgiving. So I'm putting it in he wouldn't give me a real close date, but I'm guessing it's gonna be around Labor. I would think it'd be around Labor Day. Or maybe even a little after. What?
It started in California.
Start at the Golden Gate Bridge and goes to some beach in Delaware. And so they've set up a website. You can volunteer to help. You can volunteer your property to let people pitch a tent, because there won't be any campers or anything. You can volunteer to even spend a day with them or run or walk with them. A lot of different avenues, but it might be a way to promote Marion County somewhat.
What is this? What, their horse ride?
American Discovery Trail goes right, it comes across Missouri on what they call the Katy Trail. It goes across Missouri and it connects to the trail system that comes down to, it goes all the way to Council Grove,
Yeah, the
and then
Katy Depot.
they come down to Harrington, goes over to Ramona through Tampa, comes down through Durham, and goes out to Maxwell Game
Okay, so
Preserve,
it's
and then it
flowing
goes,
through,
then it goes south to 56.
so it's on the north side of Marion County.
And then it follows down through Dodge City, that area. There's a north route and south route. We're the south route. But we've had, over the last 3 or 4 years, we've had one couple and one single guy that we've let put a tent up in our yard. And we've probably had 5 or 6 that have gone through. And we knew nothing about it till we started asking these people, what's Discovery Trail? You know nothing about it. Pretty interesting people. Adventurous people. I don't know, how the county could dovetail into something like that unless we did an evening thing somewhere for participants. I don't know.
Have a meal for them, huh?
Need to hit up, what is it, the lieutenant governor for the tourism signs. Just like Santa Fe Trail, those signs, and granted to you and get plugged in along their route. And then that could drive people to ask the question, what this is.
Anyway, this guy said he'd be sending information as they came out with it, because he said they just started the plan on January 1st.
So what's the mode of transportation? Can they use anything?
Run, walk, ride a bicycle, or I think even a horse. But all we've ever seen are people that are walking, so.
Evening type of thing, there's a chuck wagon group, Wichita, and I think some of them are from Halstead.
Yeah, we have a gal, last summer we had a gal that was jogging, but her husband was going in front of her with RV. So that day she had to make it to McPherson because he was already there. And I said, you got a lot of.
She gonna miss supper.
Set him up and put it down. I'm gonna have to call him in. I gave a guy a ride to Maxwell that got to our place one night about 8:30. And he thought he could walk the rest. Well, he got about another 18 miles. I said, how would you like a ride? Man, that'd be great.
That's something that cities of Durham, Tampa, or Ramona could put on an event thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the cities might put their heads together. I'll be noticing the city and all that. Well, I'll be noticing, the Tampa mayor's that works in Durham, so I can let him know, or Mike can let him know. I don't know who the mayor of Ramona is. Mike might know him. But, it's something that.
Billy Alcorn, but I don't know who it is.
Hard on that one thing. Well, comment I've got or question I've got for all of us. I stopped at the North Wind Farm Diamond Vista project and visited with their site manager one day last week. Kent and I thought about maybe going together and questioning why their towers leak the amount of oil they do or what they are. What he did tell me was they are under KDHE regulated on how much can leak or clean up that is required upon a certain amount of leak. They're in the process of hoping, and this is just his consensus, is they've got a lot of seals they're trying to update or replace this year. And the hoses are something that must be up there at an age now. They're trying to replace them tower by tower as they go to stop some of this. I asked him, he said he was going to be meeting on Zoom with some of their higher ups. Whether, my thought was, would they come as their group to present that to us in a commission meeting? He said he would possibly get back to us if that's not out of line for us to, that way we have some proof that this is what they're actually trying to fix, or
An update here.
Annex, whatever KDHE guidelines that they're needing to follow. That way we know what they are, I guess, rather than just what he told me verbally. If that's a good idea, if they would come or send somebody, it's up to people. It's up to you guys what you guys think, but that's where I took it the other day when I was up there and had time to visit with them a little bit.
Do we know what they're doing with those two projects where they're rebuilding the turn radiuses?
No, I don't.
Well, they have to get into, work on those turbines with the giant cranes.
Right, but he's asking what specific work they're
Yeah.
doing, and I don't know the answer to that.
So far, he hasn't contacted me back, but that was just Wednesday morning, I guess. If we want to pursue that any further, if we can see if they would come and give us.
I would love
where
to
they're
have,
at with
I would
it.
love to have them come in and give us an update of, every time I drive through there, there's 10% of them not working.
But I was surprised that KDHE is regulating how much oil they can lose or the cleanup if it's past a certain extent. So I don't put much faith in that.
I don't either.
From my personal experience with the feedlot, I'll say no more. But that's what I spent a few minutes visiting with him the other day. David Mueller got me his number or whatever, and met with him for a few minutes there at the plant.
Anybody else have anything?
Got a KAC meeting on Wednesday. Then I'll have an update after that. I wasn't able to make the last one, the Vegas trip, but we eager to hear what they have to say about what's going on legislatively.
Nothing?
Well, there's obviously certain things that can mess with us, the House bill.
Read the letters from newsletters.
I'll probably go jump a few people up there just
So they haven't passed anything.
Yes.
A couple of weeks ago, I had mentioned about Skid trying to get someone else to fill that position. You had a chance to, you said you may have had somebody that,
Well, I reached out to the city administrators, but nobody, it was crickets.
they're really the ones that need to be on there. So, I know Hillsboro's is leaving, but
yeah.
Anybody knows Marion's city administrator? Do you know him?
I might talk to Mike Powers, see if he's got time. He's the mayor now. They meet once a month.
They're trying it once every other month because they've scaled way back on personnel. They've got an interim director now, and they've moved from Webb Road over into a suite on Rockwood, which I'm guessing, I haven't seen it, but I'm sure it's smaller.
Cheaper.
Yeah, they're landlord. I can't believe the lease what they had to pay.
I used to drive past it all the time on Webb.
Does that work 6,000 a month?
No.
Well,
Well, I mean, in Wichita, yeah. But there's a lot of things. The cost is, you wouldn't believe what they cost.
I know.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
No.